everybody. My name is Lisa Hanson. I'm the organiser of the Freedom Unites community event we're having here today, and the co-founder, along with Team McDonald of Worldwide Rally for Freedom Mackay. We have been standing here at Bluewater Quay to protect our community since 2021. You heard from Tam this morning. Every week at 10 a.m. they're down here with Worldwide Rally. Today I'm pleased to announce the launching of the Queensland Freedom Network. The network's purpose, starting here today, is to bring all freedom communities and groups together to further strengthen our community and ability to withstand outside influence. I had my dream for some time now, after travelling in convoy fashion towards Canberra, or to Canberra in July with Jodie Lowe's FUCCP parade. And having shared that time with every freedom group, I arrived home with a burning passion to set it up and running and holding this first event after Jodie's challenge to bring it to your local community. Today is and will be a peaceful, family-friendly community, emphasis on unity, educational event. The spirit in which I created this event was to bring our community together, providing support and remedy to the trials we all face. There's not a soul on earth right now not being affected in some way by an agenda designed not only to separate, but impoverish and enslave every single one of us. We must stand together, support and encourage one another. Do not allow them to succeed in their attempt to divide us. We are all aware that events like this sometimes attract, troublemakers to further discredit the peace-loving freedom community. Most here have a very good understanding of how the mainstream media works, the paid-for propaganda tool used to discredit the truth tellers. We ask anybody at the event today who witnesses any kind of bad behaviour to call it out immediately. If need be, pull out your phone, record the culprit, so as to call them out and identify any plants or infiltrators used to incite bad behaviour and ruin what is always intended to be a peaceful demonstration to stand for our freedoms and our country. Bad behaviour, unlawfulness or any this type of behaviour will not be tolerated by our peace-loving freedom community. If you are a proud Aussie with enough courage to stand and protect your family, community and country, then have the courage to do so boldly. All Australians gather here in an attempt to forge a way forward. All Australians are here for all Australians. The freedom community groups I have invited here today have all endured many trials and tribulations the past 5 years, while seeking to find remedy to the ever-quickening decline of our freedoms, human rights, and our Aussie way of life. Each has a different path, yet all seek the same destination, a better future for all of us. In the spirit of peace, harmony, and discovery, we're moving our community forward with education, commitment to learn from the past 5 years, and to push our country forward to a freer, more observant, less likely to be manipulated population. God bless you all, every single one. Now I'll hand over to my first guest speaker, Jodie
Lowe. Hello everybody, thanks for coming along today. I understand that there was a fair bit of a rally here last week, and that's good. Good to see some numbers of people starting to get a bit agitated with the way that it is. Unfortunately, it sort of has to come at the expense of either poor health or poor finances to really get people to get up and sort of want to know what they can do about it. I've been doing this for about 5 years, and it's encouraging, to say the least, for the last 6 months, the amount of response that we've got. Budget cuts in the government probably mean that even the trolls aren't getting paid what they used to get paid, so we don't see the quality of trolling that we used to see. Just get the occasional bit of abuse, cooker or something simple like that. But like I took the opportunity with the young police peacekeepers up here this morning, when you speak to them in terms that the average person can start to understand, a lot more people can actually start tying it in and realising we're in a lot of trouble. This country is not what it used to be, and we are quite often fooled by beautiful weather, nice skies, the ability to go in the beach. But like I pointed out to them, they started at 10 o'clock, they were in the car, and I said about 20 to 11 is when their money starts coming into their pocket, and the rest of it went to some sort of tax. Being young, they're likely to not know that the government, the federal government, at a minimum is up to over $1 trillion worth of debt. After selling off a lot of our sort of minerals and resources, we don't make much anymore in this country, other than a mess environmentally. And I think the $20 billion a year in interest is what we're paying on that debt at the moment. So for those that watch me online, obviously you've seen this rendition quite a bit, but what I'd like to do for people that haven't seen what I talked about before is, when you're born in this country, you have an equal entitlement to the share of the wealth of the country. That's why it's called the Commonwealth. And that means that if you were to take a job out in the coal fields of thermal coal or power, you would expect that once you've dug that coal out, that you would reach out to the government and say, "Hey, Mr. Government, I've just took a bit of that coal out. Can I have my 26 million share of it, please?" And the government would say, no, that's not how it works these days. We look after it in a big trust, and you are the beneficiary because we give you roads and schools and hospitals and stuff." And you're like, that sounds fair. I'm happy to play my part, to pay my way for the greater good of the community in this country. So what do I get for my time? And they say, "Well, you get a wage." And I say, "Well, that's cool, that's great. You get paid an hourly wage." They say, "You get a good wage." They say, "Unfortunately, though, because you get a good wage and you live out here in the bush for a lot of those mines, we take up to 47 cents in every dollar that you earn, and an average of 30. And you're like, what does that money go to? That's also for roads and schools and toilets and education and all these sorts of things. And you're like, boy, it kind of feels like we're getting a little bit one-sided here, Mr. Government. I appreciate that it's a big country and we've got a lot of things to run. Maybe if you all didn't live in a couple of the same spots, we could spread the wealth out a little bit, but that's okay. What do I get? Well, it's thermal coal, right? And I didn't get a share of the money, and I didn't get all of my wages, but surely I would get the power for free, considering that, we've got so much of this coal. 140 million tonne of it we sent overseas last year for 86% foreign-owned interests. 86% of our minerals and resources are now foreign-owned. 140 million tonne of our coal got sent overseas to benefit other countries' power interests, while we've reduced ourselves down to about 55% availability of power through our coal-fired plants. So should I get my power for free, Mr. Government? Don't be silly. Most of those companies that are owned at some level by foreign interests as well, you pay about 3 times per kilowatt of any country in the world that doesn't have our power expectations. So that triangle for me was probably enough as I started learning what was going on. Now, we're all here for different reasons, and over the last 5 years we've all found reasons to love each other and hate each other. Some believe in saviours of some sort, some believe that we've got to go this path or that path. I've given away most of that stuff and just tried to become a conduit of information to people to say, choose your own journey, but make a difference, because if we don't start taking action, we are going to lose this country completely. We are so close to it at the moment, we don't make anything anymore. Yeah. Right? This country is not known for its manufacturing anymore. We are a services centre. All 70% of our GDP is services. That means Ponzi scheme, fiat currency with no backing in gold makes that money just go round and round in circles, and every time it goes around, it devalues itself because of the taxes that come off the back of it and the foreign money that goes offshore. And so we've got to keep printing fake money to make sure that money supply stays here, and that's what's devaluing our money. A couple of kilos of gold back in the day would have bought a block of land. The same 2 kilos of gold today will buy the block of land. Australian house price average just hit over $1 million. Average house price in Australia. In the 70s, it was 3-to-1 ratio from the average house price to the average wage. 3-to-1 ratio. In Australia today, it's 9-to-1. In those 50 years, Australia has not hit its rebirth percentage on its own. That means we have immigrated our way to growth. We love the people that come to this country and want to assimilate with what we do. Let them keep coming. My point is, if we're only growing from the people that we continue to come into the country, and everybody, including the people that come to the country, end up suffering at the hands of debt, taxes, and not being able to afford the basic cost of living, then we need to stop working our way to the point where our houses are 9-to-1. In Brisbane, about 18-to-1. Melbourne, 20-to-1. And Sydney is topping about 22-to-1. Average house price ratio. My daughter earns about the same money I did when I was a coal miner at the age of 21. I bought a house in Buderim Meadows. It just sold the other day. If it was me that sold it, I might be on my boat, but instead that I'm here. Either way, I would have been here, promise. Her deposit at 20% would have covered more than the purchase price that I paid for it when I was 24. That's not acceptable. Capitalism in this country is causing us some severe grief, and the only reason that they're hiding the capitalistic nature, which what they promise you, if you don't watch the government, if you don't watch the parasite bureaucrats that will use to take the opportunity to get rid of the middle class, that is the problem with capitalism. We end up with an upper class and a lower class. What they do is they take the tax tiers of the high end of the middle class, and they funnel that back around to the top end of the lower class, and they make a fake middle class, and that's how we exist. I offered the opportunity to people that are saying we don't want communism. I offered the opportunity for us to stop taking any money from the government and see how long our middle class lasts. Because that is what they continue to do to us. They continue to make us believe that we are still operating as a functional middle class, and most of that is on some sort of subsidy, on NDIS, on Medicare taxes, on rental assistance, on family tax aid, on kindergarten payments and stuff like that. The average home loan being $1 million, the average house price being $1 million, the average home loan is $600,000. On a basic rate of what we're on today, that's about $45,000 a year principal interest, and our average middle class wage is about $70,000. That means that any man or woman that works a full-time job after tax of $70,000 loses about $15,000 to tax, so they have $55,000. If they have an average house price in this country, they've got 10 grand left over. What do you reckon you could buy for 10 grand in this market for food, power, water, gas, insurance? Not much. So what do? We send our partner to work. Now they work full-time, or full-time, part-time at least. What does that do to our children? Who's looking after them? The state. What do they want to do in the schools? They want to teach them some wild stuff. They want to teach them some different stuff. Why do you think that they don't want to teach them the Constitution? America's military-industrial complex has operated and spread its country across the world so that every country in the world has been operating for a long time under the petrodollar, the US dollar. Why do they teach their Constitution? Because if the people in America believe that the government is for them, they'll fight for them. And so they'll go to every war to make sure that they stay safe on other people's shores. In this country, they don't want us to learn our Constitution because we might turn around and fight them. Because once you actually start to know what rights you've got and how far we've made ourselves sort of subservient to it, that's when you really start to realise, they've done a trick on us here. Now, all of the people that were, forced into the vaccination, I give my opinion about that a lot. I didn't take it, but they took my job away. They say all the time, not mandatory, but they take the things away that you can do if you don't follow it. So it's, it's like saying, just, that gun to the head like they did with APRA. If you can say whatever you like, but if you say that, you'll lose your licence. you can say no, Mr. Lowe, but you can't work in the mining industry anymore. The digital ID bill is exactly the same as that. Federal passed it recently, the digital ID. Not mandatory. State passed it before that. Not mandatory. Oh, that's good. It's not mandatory. It means we've got a choice. Go to redo my medical the other day, and the Res Health is a division of QGov. QGov is the smaller brother of MyGov. MyGov is the federal access to the funding. QGov is the state one. You cannot get your medical or high-risk license or anything renewed without having a digital ID under their system. Not mandatory, they say. Sure, just can't have a job in the mine, can't have a job as a trade, can't have a job anywhere, you can't go online, you can't claim payments, you can't get Centrelink. You can still get Centrelink because we've got to make sure that we have that nation of people that is putting their hand out to the government, right? But this is what they continue to do through those sneaky little things in there, and then at the same time call us hookah conspiracy theorists. I did some simple maths on the board the other day. I don't know if you've watched me, but I like to do the whiteboard where I break it down, because I realised I don't know anything about my constitution. I don't know anything about my rights. How many people here have watched any show that would take the piss out of the people from the southern end of America, down on the bayou? Mama says she's going to wrestle the gators. Yeah, everyone watches those videos. That's a deep South American. They're so stupid. Rednecks. Ask them about their constitution. Ask them about their rights. Anyone want me to do what I did on the Cairns to Canberra rally and just stop on a person and ask which part of the constitution they're most upset about? I did it all the way down to Canberra when we ran our grand jury indictment down there. Everyone's like, we don't like the fact that they're playing with our constitution. Our constitution is our power. It's our power that we give to them to actually form parliament. We, the people, sit above it. And 5 years into this battle, because a lot of people started with the vaccination side of it, saying we're not comfortable with the fact that you're taking our right away to have that. They didn't take it away. You could have it. I didn't have it. But you couldn't have everything else in life to do with it, right? So it's always coercion by gun. What is a contract? What's a fair and equitable contract? If we have an agreement, we have a fair and equitable agreement. Yeah, that would be fair to say. What is the registration of your car when you've just had the coal ripped out of the ground? You've had your wages cut with taxes. You're still paying GST for the tyres. You're paying a fuel excess for the fuel that's going to run you to work to pay the tax to take it out of it. And then you are contracted fair and equitably to pay registration for said car to drive on some of the worst roads that you'll ever see around here, but they don't have any worries about that, while your car gets smashed to pieces so that you can buy some more parts in from China, add some GST and some taxes to it to repair it. That's where we're at, right? When the police officer, the policy officer as we call them, pulls up and taps on your window and says, we're here to discuss the contract that we have with you, Mr. Lowe. Why is your car not registered? And I'm like, well, it didn't seem like a very fair and equitable contract. I was looking for another option. You don't have any option. See this guy here, Mr. Gun? See this guy here, Mr. Taser? These are your two options. So you will, through coercion and force, because we are an enforcement agency, you will contract with us and pay your registration regardless of how much tax you have put into the system for your roads and for your fuel and for your tyres and for all the things that we're paying for at the moment. Pretty bleak, pretty gross, yeah, pretty annoying. It's a kid's future, right? I don't think there's, how many years we've had a constitution? Anyone? Yep, 125-year anniversary. So 125 years, how many times has Liberal or Labor, not mentioned in the Constitution of the two-party preferred system, how many times have we not had Liberal or Labor in power? None. 125 years straight we've had Liberal or Labor, the two-headed snake system, robbing Peter to pay Paul, all the way through to now. Now that's going to make some people upset, and I'm sorry. But we need to get to the point where we, the people, make the difference, and we turn our backs on these politicians and we start making our own plans and our own things. We start holding them accountable with large groups, right? If you've got a community group, right, and you're wondering what you can do other than getting some water together and getting some canned food together, start reading the legislation of these bills and presenting it to your local members and saying, are you aware of this side that isn't a bureaucratic sellout of your country? Because it's the bureaucrats that whisper in their ear. Some of these documentation is this thick and they call it some fancy names. The Pandemic Preparedness Treaty of the World Health Organization was one that recently went through last year. The J. Scott Committee that looks after these things missed it in the back end of a document that was basically called Free Lollipops to All Kids at Schools Bill. And they're like, oh, that sounds like a great thing. And they signed it. New Zealand didn't. Cheer, bro. Yeah, probably all take the piss out of the Cuzzy Bros too. They found it. Our J. Scott Committee missed it. They were quite agitated when the ladies from the Ausex and the Who team went and showed them, and half of them were like, yeah, I knew it was there, and the other half were like, I didn't. That's our J. Scott Committee that acts on our behalf.